Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders Without podcast. They have an incredible guest, my new good friend, Lisa Warner. We connected from the two amazing communities, the Wisdom Playground and the Serving Circle, which are all about being of service to other and enlightened soul, enlightened people. And She was referred to me through an incredible woman I had on my podcast about a week ago, Deb King. Incredible lady. So and yeah, so she connected me to Lisa, and here I am. So Lisa is a beautiful soul. We had a great talk just before going live. She's an author of a book called The Simplicity of Self Healing, where she's basically showing people um, how to connect to the wisdom of your soul, so that you can become the ultimate you and become ultimate well-being. And most importantly, the part that's really you know um, really touched me is that she managed to she's a cancer survivor. She managed to heal that uh, by herself without going under the knife or through the traditional medical way. So she's gonna talk about that, because that's something that's I told her before going live, I wish I had met her like 6 months ago. But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, so I'm incredibly honored and humbled to be connecting with this beautiful soul. And that's what I love about my podcast, is to connect with incredible like-minded human beings. So Lisa, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much, Payman. It's such an honor to be here.
Honor is all mine. So before we start, for people who don't know you, who's Lisa?
I am just an ordinary person. However, I have some extraordinary wisdom to share after I learned how to heal my body from cancer without the medical model. And I learned how to do it by seeing from a completely different perspective. Since I was a child, I've always known there was more to life than what meets the eye. I knew that we were infinite beings, and I knew that we have a lot of limiting beliefs. And I didn't know how limiting they were until, as far as our bodies are concerned, until I experienced it for myself.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that in a bit further. But what I like to do in my podcast is, sure, we're going to talk about your achievements and your mission, all that. But what I'm most interested in is to have a look under the hood, so to speak, to see what's in your heart, to have a heart-to-heart conversation. Hence the name Leaders with a Heart, because it doesn't matter what type of business you're in, whether you're a coach, e-commerce, or even selling hot dogs and ice cream down the street. We're all in the same business, which is in the people's business. So, first of all, Lisa, tell us what makes you happy.
Well-being, freedom,
Mm,
ease, joy, feeling at home in my own body, and
mhm.
seeing other people empowered and feeling at home in their own bodies as well.
Beautiful. What makes you smile?
Really seeing people feeling good. There's
Mhm.
not a lot of that out there these days. And when we
Yeah,
connect with like-minded people and we start to share heart to heart and inspire each other, that's what that's what gives the smile on my face.
love that. Now, what makes you come alive?
Consciousness,
Mm,
expanding consciousness, ever expanding aha moments. Every aha moment builds on another one.
correct.
And every one simply it expands our experience of ourselves and this world and
Mm,
all of the possibilities that we
totally,
actually have at our disposal.
totally. Now, what makes you sad and angry?
To look out and see what's going on in the world these days. It is so
Yes,
completely unnecessary. So
yes.
much fear mongering, so much so much uncaringness is
Hmm.
happening. We're seeing world leaders who truly do not care about the people. They're not here to make the world a better place. If
Now,
the world leaders were actually interested in making the world a better place, we could make this world a better place overnight,
exactly,
literally.
exactly. We have the technology, we have the means. It's just that the will is not there yet.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. All right. What scares you? The
Wow.
dark?
There's really, I guess what scares me is the 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 people who are just willing to lash out
Mm,
without reason.
yes.
The people who are willing to point fingers and blame totally innocent people for
Hmm.
things that they are not doing or never have done or couldn't possibly do, and then
Hmm.
punishing people for those things.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
I know.
insanity.
I know. Now, what would you say is your personal superpower?
Ooh, awareness. Like I have a lot of self-awareness, and my superpower really is um truly understanding how the body heals itself.
That is indeed an incredible power to have. We're going to talk about it in a moment, but let's move on. I want to talk to ask you first some fun questions because everybody wants to have fun. Remember when we were kids, especially in primary school and middle school, people, I mean, teachers, friends, family, always asking you, so Lisa, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer back then?
Oh my God, that caused me so much angst. Ah, I could, I had no idea. I really truly had no idea because I was looking out at the world and seeing people do all these jobs, these 9 to 5 jobs that they
Hmm.
did every day, every week, every year, over and over again. And I just looked at that and cringed because
Yeah,
I didn't see any job out there that really inspired me. Like, I didn't know what I was supposed to do in this world, but I just knew that that scene was not for me. So it caused me terrible angst
I can
when I was
imagine.
asked that question.
Now, when you were in school, what was your favorite subject?
I really truly did not like school. I mean, I was a good student, like, I graduated, right toward the top of my class, but um I
Mhm.
really truly was not a fan of school at all. My favorite subject, my favorite subject wasn't in school. My favorite subject was figure skating.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Yeah. Wow. And what was your least favorite subject in school?
Oh man,
All of them?
probably, yeah, pretty much. History. I looked at history and I thought, this is
Wow.
not our history. This isn't, you know,
Absolutely.
the kids in China are not learning this history. The
No,
kids in Russia are not learning this history. The kids in South America are not learning. Everybody is learning a different history. So
it's,
history is completely made up. It's a story by
yes,
whoever is trying to tell that story and whatever they want us to know.
that is
It's like,
so true because
didn't make any
I grew up
sense.
in France and then up to middle school and high school in Canada, and we didn't learn the same thing in history. And then I worked for 4 years in China as a football soccer coach. So I was in school, so I saw what the kids were being taught, and that's for another topic, but it's not what You're absolutely right, spot on. It's not what we are taught. Absolutely.
Gold star for me.
Oh yeah. Oh, more than that, diamond star. Now let's move forward. For example, so from the time that you left school to now, how would you describe your path? Would you say once you got into one path, was it straight sailing, smooth forward all the way, or was it like turns and twists along the way?
It was like 4 steps down, trip over the rock and fall down. Get up, try a different path, trip over the rock, fall down.
Wait, are you talking about your experience jumping to Niagara Falls?
Right. I
Because that
had
sounds like
many,
it.
many, many paths trying to figure out what my path was supposed to be because, that whole question about what are you going to be when you grow up? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I kept trying different things. And, the path I stayed on the longest was teaching figure skating,
Oh wow.
being in figure skating, but
Did you
it's taken
follow?
me a really long time to get on this path, which now I see is the path that I came here for. This is like my soul's journey.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the feeling that your passion growing up was figure skating. Did you try to pursue that towards more becoming a professional skater or anything?
I taught figure skating professionally for many, many years.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's nothing more beautiful than, doing what you're truly passionate about, because I did that. Well, growing up in France, my dream was to become a professional football soccer player, but I wasn't good enough or whatever. And then when I got this opportunity to go into China to be a football coach and getting paid for that, I said, wow, let's do it. I didn't even look at the contract. I said, okay, just sign it. Let me take me there. You know, wow, that's awesome. Now, I'm sure you've heard the story, the saying, change your story, change your life. We all have had at one time to change our story. And by story, I mean what we keep on telling ourselves on a daily basis. So when you had to change your story to change your life, how did you do it? Did you do it through the help of friends, books, videos, mentors? Tell us about how you did that.
Well, really, the story that changed my life the most
Mm,
was the story that allowed me to heal myself.
mm.
First, the story was, oh my God, I'm getting attacked by cancer. And that was a really intense story, I gotta
Oh,
say.
sure,
It
yeah.
was it was a nightmare story.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredibly intense. It was really riddled with fear and doubt and anxiety. And then I went deep inside, deep in meditation, and I kept asking to be shown, what's the other story? Like, what else do I need to know about this in order to change this story? And in meditation one day, finally, it was like, bam, the light bulb moment. It was like the skies opened up, and it instantly, I realized that my body and nobody else's body is being attacked by cancer. My body produced those extra cells on purpose. There was a meaning behind them. I still didn't know the meaning, but I understood instantaneously that there were no cancer cells. They're simply my own cells. They were my own cells produced by my own body for a reason. And
Mm-hmm.
in that moment, I realized the entire idea of cancer attacking us is not true. It's not what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
And and in that moment, the whole idea of cancer just vanished, and my story instantly changed. And my story instantly changed from, oh my God, I'm being attacked by cancer, to, oh, I can trust my body. I know my body's going to heal
Mm-hmm.
itself. And
Absolutely.
it's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Tell us more about this experience. Tell us what kind of cancer you had and how old were you when this happened, if you're okay with sharing that.
Oh, um, how old I was, I have no idea. Like, age doesn't,
Okay.
I don't keep track of linear time like that.
Okay.
Like, no disrespect meant, but it's like, I don't know, I was in my early 40s, probably,
Okay.
early mid, whatever. Um, and all through my reproductive parts. And it was just, it was awful. It was painful. It was scary. It was debilitating. You know, am I going to live? Am I going to die? But, you know, all of the
Yeah.
stuff that we think about when all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, I'm being attacked by cancer.
Yeah.
And I went through that whole, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Because when I thought about the medical approach, chemo, radiation, pharmaceuticals, getting your body
Yes.
parts cut off or cut out, it's like, I was born with all these parts and I would actually really like to keep them. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Long-term pharmaceuticals, that has never appealed to me from
Mm-hmm.
day one. You know, chemo and radiation, those are scary
Oh yeah.
for me. And I thought healing shouldn't be scary. And I
Yeah.
realized in that moment, when I was a really, really little kid, I would lay in my bed at night and I would just have this experience of being one with the quantum field, just in this field of unconditional love. And I had all of these crazy, that at the time I thought they were just crazy awarenesses, but I would be able at 2 and 3 years old to kind of look and see nursing homes and all these people in nursing homes, like, and I called them, in my own mind, they were death watch facilities, just like people just waiting to die. And at 2 and 3 years old, I was like, it's not supposed to be like this. I knew
Yes.
for sure it was
Hmm.
not supposed to be like this. And I knew for sure in that moment that I was never going to be like that, like that was not my path. And I knew at the time that I was supposed to be living for, 150 or 200 years.
If not
But then
more,
I
yeah.
look around and I went, well, God, yeah, obviously, Lisa, you're insane because that doesn't happen here.
Hmm.
But now I've come to realize, people like Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, all of these people who are now starting to talk out. It's like our bodies are designed to rejuvenate and regenerate themselves for as long as we allow them to. But it's our
Yes.
fears, our doubts, our worries, our skepticism, our misunderstanding of our bodies, all of the resistance that we hold in our bodies that prevents us from rejuvenating and regenerating and healing. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so as soon as the cancer thing happened, one of the first things I thought was, this doesn't belong to me. This isn't mine, and I'm not going to claim it.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to start asking, what do I do? Because it was clear what not to do, but I had no idea what to do. So the only answer I had at the time was, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to ask for guidance. And I'm
Wow.
going to sit here until I get some guidance. And it took a while. I sat there for a long time.
I'm sure you must have had a lot of pressure from the so-called doctors and even
I
some
I
extent
didn't,
family and friends. Oh, Lisa, you're nuts.
yeah,
You need to follow what the experts are telling you. I'm sure
I
you,
didn't
you
talk.
must have
Yeah.
gone through that.
No, I never spoke to anybody about it.
Wow.
Never shared it. Never nothing. Just because I wouldn't have survived. Like I
Sure.
would not have survived having other people going, oh, poor Lisa, poor
Hmm.
you, this is terrible. Oh, did you hear about what happened to Lisa?
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't want any of that. Like I literally would not have survived. I was so fragile at that point that I would have literally just checked out. So I decided
Yes.
I'm just going to go through this by myself and I'm
That's
going to figure
amazing.
it out. Either I figure it out or I don't. Either way, there's resolution. So, and I didn't really care which way it went, you know, either way, I'm good. Because if I leave my physical body, great, all of those cares and worries are gone. Except
Hmm.
now I'm going to have to come back and I'm going to have to, go cycle another time because I didn't resolve my stuff. So I realized I need to resolve my stuff. And that's going to be what is the ultimate healing.
Absolutely. There's so many questions come to mind because I just lost my father. My mother had also a similar thing. She had ovarian cancer back in 2010. She passed away. So unfortunately, it's not something I like to boast, but I'm experienced with that. And I had an incredible lead on my podcast, and I will connect you with her because you two are meant to connect. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you know her, Kim Wagner from Australia. I had on my podcast.
Oh,
I
nice.
had her twice on my podcast within a week. We both share something in common that is not very. I mean, it's not the kind of thing you want to share in common. Is that we both lost both of our parents to cancer, but she lost hers at a much younger age. She was living in a small town in Australia. She was 24, newly married. She was 24. Her father got diagnosed with a cancer, colon cancer, and then while he was going treatment, her mother got breast cancer. And while she had at the time she had just given birth to her first child, and when she had her second child, that's when first her father passed away, and then the mother just 3 months before the second child was born. So imagine that you're 26, two young kids, both your parents gone, and you're wondering, say, what the hell is happening to me? If
Mhm.
my she was saying her mother was 54 and the father was 56, something like that. Say, if I look at that, I'm 26 now. Is that what's gonna await me in a few years? If that's the case, why I'm even here for? And then she looked at her family. She noticed that, hey, wait a second. No other person in my family of cancer. So this cannot be hereditary. So she started to look into what is causing that. And she noticed that, hey, cancer is, and correct me if I'm wrong, and that's something that we're going to talk after. She realized that through research that, hey, it's cancer is a reason, or any ailments, any disease is a reason of what we eat, our lifestyle choices, and most importantly, the stress, you know? So, and then she changed completely her family's direction. She started eating organic. She started even cooking herself. And at first, she was ridiculed by friends and so-called family. Hey, why are you wasting time trying to cook? She said no, and whatever. But she kept at it. She started cooking healthy meal for her family because she did not want to go through what was expected to happen to her maybe in a couple of decades later. So and now she's a beautiful, healthy lady and the full of her capacities, wisdom. She looks amazing, so I will definitely connect you with her. You guys
Great.
have something tremendous to share. And yeah, but so in your from your research, from your experience, what would you say is the primary cause of cancer?
So what I knew at the time
Mhm.
was that my body was out of balance because I was out of balance. I was struggling with my life.
Mhm.
And because of my life struggles, I had doubt and guilt and fear and shame and all kinds of things running through my mind all the
Mhm.
time. So constant stress. So I knew that that was the connection to my body, but I
Mhm.
didn't really, I didn't understand the direct correlation. And then when I was in meditation, I got that whole download. It
Wow.
was completely, it was just obvious to me. It was clear. It unfolded and right before my eyes that my body was responding to that stress. So afterwards, after I published my book and after it was probably 2 years after I had published my book, it in that aha moment, I realized, well, this means actually that the medical model is wrong, that the approach is not correct.
Mhm.
It's based on an incorrect assumption. And but at the time I was like, what am I going to do about it? Because people aren't just going to believe me, they're
Sure.
like, they need proof and they need scientific evidence. And I'm certainly not the one that's going to be doing any scientific evidence. And like it's not my path.
Mhm.
And about 2 years after I had published my book, a friend introduced another friend to me. And the second girl said, "Oh, you're the one that knows German New Medicine." I said, "I do?" And she said, "Yeah, your book. It's German New Medicine."
Wow.
I said, "Oh my gosh, you mean somebody actually did all the research that backs up what I wrote in the
Wow.
book?" And she's like, "Yeah, there's an entire branch of science that nobody knows about because it tells us what cancer is, why it's there, the purpose that it serves, and how the body heals it automatically when we allow it to." But because we don't understand why the body is producing those cells, we fear the symptoms in our body. So
Wow.
then we just go into fight or flight. And the medical model says, here, these pills or these shots or this protocol is what you need to do. We go, okay, great, because we don't know anything else.
Mhm.
So there's an entire branch of science that hardly anybody has heard about because it's not allowed to be made mainstream knowledge.
Isn't that a tragedy?
It is a
Mm.
huge, huge tragedy. It
And
is a
what
massive disservice to humanity.
and why do you think it's not allowed to be known by mainstream media?
Oh, gee, why do you think? I mean, really? I mean, who's in charge of
I know.
all of the medical systems in the world? Exactly. Big money is
Huge
behind
money. Oh
all
yeah.
of this. And the gentleman who discovered the 5 biological laws
Mm-hmm.
was systematically stripped of his ability to practice medicine. He was constantly ridiculed, shamed, blamed for killing people, imprisoned. His life was threatened multiple
Wow.
times. He has since passed away. He was in his 80s when he passed away. But all of this information has been systematically stifled. And only a few, the few people that have been able to come across the information. Obviously, there are thousands of people around the world, but in a world of 8 billion people,
Sure.
a few 100,000 people is a
Nothing.
drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So nobody is being told what's actually happening with our bodies, because it's more profitable to continue to allow us to believe that we're being attacked by diseases that we have to fight with pharmaceuticals.
Bingo. They're not in the business to cure, it's in the business of keeping us sick and dependent on their medicine, on their poisonous whatever.
Absolutely. And
Totally.
we're watching it play out on a world scale right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's a travesty, an
Absolutely.
absolute travesty.
Wow. And then, one thing that that lady that mentioned to you mentioned it is that when she was going through that at 26, two young infants and both her parents gone with only her husband living in a small town in the middle of nowhere in Australia, she was, she was obviously she was completely taken back. She was saying, "What did I do to deserve this?" But instead of dwelling on being a victim and asking herself, "Why me? Why me? Why me?" She started asking, "Why is this happening? What is a lesson in here to be learned?" She had the, I don't know if it's I mean the intelligence of highest level to ask the right question, because the power of question is tremendous. So she didn't dwell on why me, what did I do to deserve this. She asked, what is a lesson here to be learned? And then that's what led her on the path to start studying the real cause. And she found out it's because of lifestyle decisions, what we eat, and the stress. And after that, she acted upon that. She completely changed the course of her family's direction by being very health conscious. And now I asked her the other day, so now that you're, say, 20, 25 years later, how do you view that experience? She said, you know what, it might sound strange, but the passing of both my father, that's probably the greatest gift that they've given me, because that opened my eyes and allowed me to have an impact. Now she's on a mission to enlighten and open the eyes of others. Now, how would you, do you agree with that? How would you see your experience of being, going through this cancer? Would you see that as, do you share her views that this was a tremendous gift for you, a lesson to really open up to see things the way they are really, and to really fulfill your mission at the highest level in this lifetime, so that you can have a beautiful impact out there?
Absolutely, beyond the shadow of a doubt. During the time, if somebody had said this is your greatest gift, I probably would have punched him in the nose. but, but now, now that I know what I know,
Mhm.
I will never have to face cancer or any other disease ever again. And I will never worry about any symptom that appears in my body. And I
Mhm.
will always know what to do to rebalance my body. I will never, ever have fear again. And that's priceless. And this is my path now. This is what I want to share with others, because nobody needs to be afraid of anything that shows up in our bodies, because our bodies produce the very symptoms that are there. Our bodies are in service to us. Our bodies
Mhm.
are literally trying to help us survive. And when we
Yes.
understand that it's our body produce those symptoms to help us survive, it's a complete mindset shift. It is a completely different deal. Then we're not looking at it as, oh my gosh, I'm a victim. We're looking at it as, oh, my body's out of balance because I've been out of balance. Let me bring myself back into balance. Thank you, body. thank you for supporting me through this time that I have been in emotional turmoil. Thank you. Let's get out of the emotional turmoil and let's heal. And
Absolutely.
then you become best friends with your body. You and your body are a team. And you don't have to worry about what's going on with your body because you know that your body's on your side.
Absolutely. So for anyone watching right now, what would be the number one tip you would give them, whether they're going through cancer or not right now, to prevent them to take control of their health so that they are not faced with this horrible thing?
Well, to understand that our bodies are designed to heal themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but only every single time
Mm-hmm.
when we allow them to. You know, when we break an arm, like we know that we fell down, we broke our arm. Like we know why our arm is in two pieces. Like it's completely
Sure.
clear. And we know that if we put a splint on it and we just wait for a little while, the body will do all the rest. But when we have internal injuries, emotional injuries, we don't correlate the emotional injury to our internal organs.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't understand, we don't make that correlation. So we don't see where the injury happened.
Mm-hmm.
So we just think that, oh, there's something wrong with our bodies. That's never, ever the case. We are infinite beings. We are body, mind, and soul. We are the soul.
Mm-hmm.
We are the infinite being in our physical body. And the physical body is simply following our lead. And if we're in our mind and we're stressed and we're depressed and we're worried and we're anxious and we're frightened and we're doing the lack and limitation, it's stressful on the body. So the body helps us. So depending on what type of emotional stress we're under, the body will respond in a specific manner. And all we have to do is look at what symptom is showing up in the body, and we can tell immediately what the emotional stress is. So we can simply use the body as the barometer and say, oh, you've got something going on in your lungs. Okay, you had a death fright. Who do you think was dying? Who were you worried about? Were you worried about dying? Or were you smoking and thinking that, yeah, this is probably going to kill me? Like what was going on? Let's look at the thought patterns. Let's
Mm-hmm.
resolve that, and your body will heal itself.
Wow. Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree with that. Now you mentioned that you wrote a book. So I'm thinking that is your book first for currently available on Amazon?
It is,
I will get
yes.
it myself. I want to read it and then do a follow up with you when I talk about your book to really to be as a form of not only respect but also as a form to ask meaningful questions, and that's something that I'm passionate. I want to learn your beautiful story, and so we can have a very meaningful conversation so we can really help and inspire others, because the whole point of this podcast is to inspire others to do good, but in this case is to basically you cannot do good if you cannot take care of yourself first. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about your book in the next episode. So we're not even gonna mention
Great.
that, just the title. I'm gonna put the link on the show notes. But before we finish, I just want to ask you some fun questions. So
Yay.
imagine now that you add a time machine and you can go back in time and meet your 18-year-old self. What would be the number one piece of advice you would give to the 18-year-old Lisa?
Um, I would say, hey, do you remember when you were about 12 and you thought that you that in order to find love, you should actually learn to love yourself?
Mhm.
Listen to that. Listen to
Yes.
that. Go back and learn to love yourself. Like so you can stand up for yourself. And when you learn to love yourself, not in an egotistical way, but when you actually really truly love being who you are,
Mhm.
that's where all the magic happens.
Awesome. Agreed. And now let's keep using that time machine. And now let's imagine now you can go back to meet the Lisa that was going through this horrible phase of facing the cancer. What would be the number one piece of advice you would give to the Lisa at that time?
I would just say it's all going to be okay.
Mm,
Sit and breathe and trust your body.
absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have your own podcast?
I'm actually starting my own podcast.
Woohoo!
Yes. So I will
Awesome.
be having my own podcast very soon. I have a
Beautiful.
lot of episodes recorded already of just
Beautiful.
things that I've done over the last year. And
Awesome.
so, yeah.
Now, imagine that today you have the most special, the most precious guest in the world in your podcast, which is yourself. What would be the first question you will ask yourself on your podcast? I don't want you to think too much. What is the first question that comes to your mind?
Oh, wow. Um, First question is just, what are you going to do to help more people understand what's actually happening with their bodies?
Then what's your answer?
Be seen more, get out there more, get on more podcasts,
Yes,
just get
yes.
myself out there.
Yeah. The question that comes to mind as a result of what you just said, aren't you worried that as you become louder and more vocal and get more and more exposure, you might face some very angry people that will do anything to shut you down because you're gonna be stepping on big toes once you start to telling people, hey, you have control of your health.
You know what? I didn't speak out for a really long time
Hmm.
because of that fear.
Yeah.
And I've known that fear since I was a child. I
Hmm.
knew that people who came to heal the world didn't
Yeah.
meet with very good ends for the
Sure.
most part. So even when all of this new craziness started, I was afraid to speak
Hmm.
out. And now, you know what? No, it's too important. There's
Absolutely.
too much at stake here.
There's
So
certain things that are bigger than us, and that's definitely one of them.
yeah,
Absolutely. That is something that is worth putting literally your life on the line because it's really just like you said, we're eternal beings having a temporary, human experience. So when you look at things from that perspective, a lifetime is basically just, I wouldn't say meaningless, but it's not very important. You know what I mean? Sure, it
yeah,
can be important, but it's not the same way as if you think, oh, this is only life we get, it's the only shot we get. No, that's not true. So when you look at it from that perspective, you say, okay, now I have the peace of mind and knowledge to go all in, regardless of the consequences. So, Lisa, it's an absolute honor talking to you and connecting with you. We'll definitely do a follow up in a couple of weeks after I finish reading your book. Tell us once again the title of your book.
the title is called The Simplicity of Self-Healing.
All right. And what is the best way if someone wants to connect with you?
The easiest way is to reach me through my website. It's called connectingyou2you.com, spelled out in full.
Beautiful.
Connecting
All right.
youtoyou.com.
All right, Lisa, listen, we can talk for hours. There's so many things that we haven't even touched upon. We have something, again, it's not something that you're proud to have in common, but it's life. But as I said, they're meant to happen. These are lessons, and when those happen to me, I ask myself, what is a lesson? What I'm supposed to learn from here, as opposed to why me, what I've done to deserve this. So now I know that, hey, this is for a bigger reason. So this is what I'm on a mission. There's so much we'll talk on the next episode. So I kn- I salute you, Lisa. You're a true leader with a heart, an enlightened soul. Stay safe. Keep shining your light. God bless, my friend, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.